Extreme weather events like this are posing an increased risk to nature, buildings, infrastructure, and human health. These events, expected to increase in frequency and intensity because of climate change, are already causing substantial damage and loss. This is being felt in Africa. While the north is drenched in immense flash floods, the south is reeling under unprecedented heat waves and droughts. Here's a report.
Kenya's semi-arid region is accustomed to dry weather and even long droughts. But things have changed now. Most villages and towns are awash with floods. The El Nino phenomenon has brought a climate catastrophe in Africa, with rainwater inundating the east and Horn of Africa. Residents in these regions, including Somalia, have been forced to leave their homes after heavy rains caused some of the rivers, in the case of Kenya, Tana River, to burst banks, flooding surrounding villages.
We fear that our own children would drown in the floods because parts in the village have been washed away. There is water all over and we found ourselves trapped with our animals, so we ran here with the children where it is safe.
Heavy rains linked to the El Nino phenomenon, followed by flash floods, have submerged towns across East Africa, leaving hundreds of thousands of people homeless. In Kenya, the floods caused over 70 deaths.
We are also looking at a situation whereby disease outbreaks related to waterborne and vector-borne diseases are beginning to emerge because besides the primary care for those people with chronic illnesses who normally need to access the health facilities.
If it is the deluge of misery in the north, in the south of the continent, it is the desolation of drought. In a remote southeastern corner of Zimbabwe, about 140 volunteers slept in shifts through a 24-hour annual wildlife census. A valuable indicator of the status of the southern African nation's wildlife resources during a worrying regional drought. To everyone's relief, the rains had come and the grasslands were looking green again in Gonarejo National Park, which means place of elephants. In other reserves in wildlife-rich Zimbabwe, animals have suffered even more as climate change-induced drought conditions take their toll. In Madagascar, an island nation still reeling from the devastating effects of Cyclone Freddy is facing another threat, prolonged heat wave. The scale of the heat wave that hit Madagascar in October is the worst the island has seen for 40 years. According to a scientific study, it is a consequence of climate change caused by human activity. The phenomenon that affected the south of the Indian Ocean island would have been virtually impossible without climate change caused by human activity, stresses the report by the World Weather Attribution, WWA, a global network of scientists that analyzes extreme weather events in real time. Heat peaks are very rarely recorded in Africa, which makes it difficult to accurately study their impact in Madagascar. Nearly 91% of Madagascans live below the poverty line, and half of them have no access to drinking water or electricity, making them very vulnerable to extreme heat. Many live in makeshift accommodations, making it difficult to implement measures to alleviate them. Extreme weather events in Africa claimed over 13,000 lives in 2023, more than on any other continent. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.